Nickelodeon launched in 1977 as the first cable network devoted exclusively to children's programming. Since then, the channel has produced some of the most iconic shows in the history of television. Nick has brought us laughs with All That, chills with Are You Afraid of the Dark, and thrills with Legends of the Hidden Temple. However, those successes haven't come without a price, or without controversy. From lawsuits to lewd jokes, not everything in the land of green slime has come up smelling like roses. Hey folks, and welcome to The Binger. Today we're going to look at 10 dark secrets that you may not have known about Nickelodeon's biggest shows. The teen dramedy Zoey 101 focused on Zoey Brooks, a teenage girl attending a private boarding school. The catch was that the school had up until that point been an all-boys academy. Jamie Lynn Spears, the younger sister of pop star Britney Spears, played Zoey, and future Nick star Victoria Justice played a classmate named Lola. The show featured many of the tropes found in a high school show, such as sibling rivalry, social pressures, and of course, budding romance. The series also addressed the adjustments that students of both genders had to make to fit in with the new co-ed environment. The show ran from 2005 to 2008 and was one of the channel's highest-rated shows of the decade. While the show may have appeared to reach a neat and natural conclusion, a story involving one of the show's stars launched a fleet of rumors. Fans speculated that the show was canceled because Spears, who was 16 at the time, announced that she was pregnant. They believed that having a pregnant teenager star in one of their biggest shows would hurt the network's family-friendly image. The writer and producer Dan Schneider rebutted those rumors in a 2007 blog post. According to Schneider, the show had reached its natural conclusion and that the cancellation had nothing to do with Spears' pregnancy. He said the last season was shot during the summer of 2007. We had our final wrap party at the end of August. Everyone had a fun time, hugged, and we all said our goodbyes. That was the end of Zoey 101 in terms of production. It wasn't until several weeks later in October that anyone from our production heard about Jamie Lynn being pregnant. Along with its trademark slapstick humor, Nickelodeon was also known for its attempts at kid-friendly horror. The classic series Are You Afraid of the Dark brought a touch of the Twilight Zone to the grade school set during the 90s. Producers attempted to take advantage of Dark's popularity to create a horror feature film for a younger audience. Crybaby Lane aired on Nickelodeon during Halloween weekend in 2000. The plot involved a pair of brothers who learn about their small town's history from the local undertaker, played by Oscar nominee Frank Langella. According to the undertaker, a father lost his conjoined twin boys due to illness. The father separated the bodies and buried his good son in the local cemetery. He later dug a shallow grave for the evil son at the end of Crybaby Lane. The story spurred the boys to visit the cemetery to contact the spirit of the good twin. One problem: the father mixed up the bodies. The boys end up raising the evil spirit. The spirit then takes over the townspeople and the boys have to send it back. Rumors sprang up that the film was so disturbing that the network refused to air it ever again. These rumors stated that Nickelodeon received countless complaints from parents about the film's harrowing images that fueled their little ones' nightmares. While Nick executives never acknowledged if the rumors were true, the network did not re-air the movie, as was its usual practice at the time. On Halloween night 2011, Nick resurrected the film and aired it again for the first time in more than a decade. Since then, Crybaby Lane has become an annual Nick Halloween tradition. One of the biggest hit shows in the history of the network was Dora the Explorer. Not only did the show generate massive ratings, but the lead character was also displayed on nearly every type of merchandise imaginable. The toys, games, apparel, and other merchandise generated more than $10 billion for Nickelodeon and its parent company MTV Networks. But what about the young actress who gave Dora her distinctive voice? She must be rolling in dough, right? Wrong. Actress Caitlin Sanchez started playing Dora in 2008 at the age of 12. According to a 2010 lawsuit, Sanchez was given less than half an hour to look over the contract and did not have an attorney available to review the terms. Sanchez claimed that she was promised residual payments from the show's airings, plus a cut of the merchandising money. Sanchez and her attorney sued MTV Networks for $10 million, plus a share of future revenues. The network settled the suit for $500,000 plus a small percentage of future merchandise sales. The settlement came shortly after her lawyer reportedly threatened to expose sordid stories about the network if they didn't pay up. Sanchez appealed the settlement, which gave her lawyer nearly 40% of her royalties, as opposed to just 5% for the actress. The appeal also stated that tax payments and her attorney's fees left her family with almost nothing from the settlement. Sanchez also claimed that her lawyer pressured her family to take the settlement, yelled at her parents, and threatened to lose the case for them. In 2013, the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against Sanchez and upheld the settlement agreement. So much for swipe or no swiping. During the channel's golden age, two of its most popular shows were the sketch show All That and the fourth wall-breaking comedy Clarissa Explains It All. Producers modeled All That as a kid-friendly version of Saturday Night Live, with wacky sketches and outrageous recurring characters. The show became a training ground for future stars, including longtime SNL cast member Kenan Thompson. While All That propelled its stars onto bigger and better things, cast members often struggled with the pay and working conditions. In a 2014 interview, cast member Angelique Bates described how the experience was never a smooth ride, and how Nickelodeon always pushed the boys. Despite the show's success, Thompson and other All That cast members received only $260 per week. Even today, with the show running for 10 seasons and a 2019 reboot with a new cast, the original players reportedly don't receive royalties or residual payments. Clarissa launched the career of Melissa Joan Hart, who would go on to star on Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Drive Me Crazy. Although she was the star of the show, Hart was reportedly paid only $150 per episode. In a 2016 interview, Hart told Variety that she would work for up to 70 hours a week on the Clarissa set, including working on Sundays. On both shows, the young performers often spent months away from their parents and other family members while shooting. Hart described these difficulties in her 2016 Variety interview. She said, "I was moved to Orlando to shoot the show for part of the year by myself. It was tough on the one hand because my family was away from me. It made me grow up really fast and learn responsibility." Rugrats was one of the most successful animated shows in Nickelodeon's history. Fans loved to watch the adventures of Tommy, Chucky, Phil, and Lil. They also loved to hate the bratty Angelica. The troublesome tyke gave audiences a shock in the opening episode of Season 8 entitled Preschool Days. In the episode, Angelica and her best friend Susie attend their first day of preschool together. When Susie draws a beautiful picture of their teacher, an envious Angelica sabotages the picture. To the kids in the audience, Angelica's crude drawing looks like a long nose and glasses. To the adults, it looks more like a specific part of the male anatomy. This episode was far from the only time that writers and artists strayed into adult humor on the show. In the Season 2 episode Grandpa's Date, Grandpa Lou stayed home to babysit Tommy and Chucky while their parents had a night out. As a way to keep the kids entertained, Lou rented some movies featuring their favorite oversized lizard Reptar. He also rented an independent art film titled Lonely Space Vixens, which he told the boys was for after you go to bed. From the context, it looks like Lou needed some privacy to enjoy his adult cinematic masterpiece. The rest of the episode involved Lou getting a visit from an old flame named Morgana. Lou would try to hide the fact that he was a grandfather and give the impression that he was the same swingin' single he was 40 years earlier. The couple also had to contend with Stu's latest invention, an adjustable couch. The couch malfunctioned, which put Lou and Morgana into all kinds of interesting positions. Who would have thought that a show about a kid with a football-shaped head could tell a heartfelt story about the Vietnam War? The show Hey Arnold features Arnold Shortman, a kind-hearted fourth grader who lives with his grandparents at their boarding house. Many of the episodes revolve around Arnold and his classmates at PS 118, including his best friend Gerald and his nemesis Helga, who also has a secret crush on him. In the show's Christmas episode, Arnold takes part in a secret Santa drawing at the boarding house. Arnold draws Mr. Nguyen, a Vietnamese immigrant who stays at the boarding house. Arnold tries to suss out for Mr. Nguyen what he could want for Christmas. The man tells Arnold how he was separated from his infant daughter, Mai, during the fall of Saigon. Arnold tells Gerald the story and the pair try to find Mai, but they get the cold shoulder from the town archivist, Mr. Bailey. Arnold gets discouraged at their failure, but Gerald tries to convince him to hope for a Christmas miracle. Meanwhile, Helga gets her favorite present, a rare pair of designer snow boots. Helga overhears Arnold's story and looks for a way to help her crush without his knowledge. Helga also finds out that Mr. Bailey wanted to get the snow boots for his daughter, but these stores are all sold out. She finds him and proposes that he look up the records for Mai Nguyen in exchange for her snow boots. On Christmas Day, Mr. Nguyen gets a visitor, his daughter, now a young adult. Many fans consider that episode one of the most emotionally impactful of the series. One of the most memorable things to come out of Nickelodeon's heyday wasn't a character or an actor or a show, but a simple substance. It was slime. Before the orange blimp flew over their studios, green slime was Nickelodeon's biggest claim to fame. Green, gooey, and gross, slime was featured on nearly all of the channel's programming, from game shows to award shows. The slime became synonymous with Nick when the network aired the Canadian kids sketch show You Can't Do That on television. The brain trust at Nick had the idea to package and sell the omnipresent ooze to its pre-adolescent audience. They even came up with a clever name for the slime, calling it Gak. According to a 2014 interview with Double Dare host Mark Summers, the name Gak has a sordid origin story. The term Gak came from our crew, Summers said. That was a street term for heroin, but Nickelodeon didn't know it and marketed this product called Gak while we were laughing our butts off. While slime became one of the most identifiable aspects of the network's shows, not everyone was a fan. In 1984, the supernatural comedy classic film Ghostbusters introduced Slimer, an apparition that secreted its own green slime. When the film's producers saw the slime on Nickelodeon, they sued the network, claiming that the TV producers stole their idea for the green goop. Roger Price, one of the original producers of You Can't Do That on television, pointed out that his show had been sliming kids since 1979. Since his show came out a full 5 years before Slimer and the Ghostbusters hit movie screens, the case was thrown out of court. The Nickelodeon game show Legends of the Hidden Temple gave kids the chance to live out their tomb-raiding dreams. While its network cousin Double Dare tested its players with physical challenges, Legends contestants needed both physical skills and mental acumen. The Pit of Despair, the Shrine of the Silver Monkey, and the final Temple Run made for a game show brimming with dramatic tension. Unfortunately, not every contestant who reached the final stage had a chance to walk away with a grand prize. Some youngsters not only missed out on the biggest prizes, but many of them also lost their composure on national television. One unfortunate contest gave new meaning to the Pit of Despair when she vomited in the ball pit. In a 2014 interview with BuzzFeed, host Kirk Fogg cited several instances in which the young contestants had emotional breakdowns during their game. They would have to stop the show every once in a while during the middle of those runs because of kid meltdowns, Fogg revealed. Sometimes they'd be hysterically crying in the middle of the temple. The culprits behind some of those meltdowns were the infamous temple guards. Many of the guards who punished the contestants during the run were the same staffers who guided them through the course earlier in the show. Fans have also speculated as to why so few contestants succeeded during the final stage. According to Fogg, the blame for so many failed temple runs shouldn't fall on the evil temple guards, but on the penny-pinching producers. The producers were only allowed to give out 8 championships a year. There was a budget, and that's the truth of that, Fogg said in a 2015 interview. Nickelodeon has enjoyed mainstream success with some of their offbeat cartoons. However, the relationships between the network and the show creators have been strained on multiple occasions. None of Nick's animated series have been as off-the-wall as creator John Kricfalusi's Ren and Stimpy. The adventures of a hyperactive chihuahua and slow-witted Manx cat became an instant sensation in the early 90s. But one episode brought the show's spot on the network to a screeching halt. In Man's Best Friend, an old man named George Liquor adopts Ren and Stimpy as his new pets. The next morning, George goes from a loving pet dad to a maniacal drill sergeant. He leads Ren and Stimpy through a series of exercises that would make a Marine Corps drill instructor blanch. Toward the end of the episode, George encourages the animals to attack him. Stimpy hesitates, refusing to attack his kind and beloved master. Ren shows no such hesitation as he brutally beats the old man with an oar. The network banned the episode, canceled the series, and fired Kricfalusi. In another instance, the creators of an animated show defied the network with their final episode. The Angry Beavers featured 2 beaver brothers, Daggett and Norbert, and their wacky adventures in an Oregon forest. While the show had a strong following, the network scheduled it for cancellation in 2001. By that time, the relationship between the network and co-creators Mitch Schauer and Keith Kachurik had been strained to the breaking point. The creators drafted the final episode, entitled Bye Bye Beavers, as a parting gesture. In their case, the gesture was a diatribe against the network. When audio of the episode leaked to the public, the network refused to air the finale. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like this video, share it with your Nickelodeon fan friends, and subscribe to The Binger to get notified about our latest videos.